In the beginning, we see General Naird getting his promotion and becoming a 4-star general. Naird gives an inspiring speech at his inauguration. Naird has a nemesis, General Kick, who never misses an opportunity to mess with him. Naird has been tasked with commanding the newly formed military branch Space Force, as the president wants to put boots on the moon by 2024. At first, Naird is uncomfortable with this assignment, but then he sees John Paul Jones, the founder of the US Navy, and gets motivated because he could be the founder of the Space Force. The Space Force headquarters is located in a remote Colorado town called Wildhorse. While visiting Wildhorse, Naird meets a salesman who knows too much about the next launch. Naird gets paranoid and he apprehends the man. Chief Scientist Dr. Mallory advises Naird to reschedule the launch due to high moisture levels, but Naird is reluctant to do so because Congress members are visiting the base to investigate about the budget. Later, Naird finds a Russian representative named Yuri sneaking around his office. Although Yuri doesn't answer Naird's questions, Naird suspects that Yuri is a Russian spy. Naird test launches one of the satellites, but unfortunately it explodes into pieces. Naird meets with his social media manager named Fucktony, who wants to tweet about the new Epsilon launch. Naird becomes angry at him and orders him to be apprehended as well. We see General Naird giving a speech to university students regarding the next moon mission, which will put American boots on the moon for the second time. We now learn that Naird's wife is locked behind bars. Naird meets with Congress members to discuss the Epsilon launch, and when he asks what Epsilon can do, Naird replies that Epsilon has a metal net ejector that can tangle enemy satellites. Naird gets a call that his sick mother has run away from home, and he had to use a satellite to locate her. Dr. Mallory is not very fond of Naird because of an unintentional launch earlier, and now he and his team try to convince Naird to postpone the current launch. They vote to postpone the launch, but Naird decides to launch on schedule to impress the Congress members. The Epsilon 6 rocket launch is successful, and it starts orbiting the Earth. Naird and Mallory hang out after the launch. They observe the satellite using a telescope. Naird sees that an enemy satellite is approaching Epsilon, and it removes the solar panels on Epsilon, which causes it to freefall. Naird runs to the Space Force base and finds out that they have 10 hours to reattach the panels to the satellite. Mallory asks everyone to give suggestions, but all the suggestions are either too risky or not doable in time. They discuss the situation thoroughly, and then start brainstorming ideas. Naird gives his idea to use a bomb, but Mallory dismisses him by saying that the vacuum of space would prevent the shockwave from a bomb from being able to push the satellite panels. Scientist Chan has found out that there is a nearby space inventory satellite named X-12, which has a trained chimpanzee and a dog. They try to contact the onboard chimpanzee, and now the chimpanzee has to do a spacewalk to weld the stranded solar panels to the satellite. Meanwhile, Dr. Mallory suggests using a light sail to push the panels toward the satellite. The chimpanzee, Marcus, is hungry and demands food urgently. The scientists tell Marcus to put on the space helmet, which he does, but he struggles to pick up the wrench. After a long time, he finally manages to do it. The chimp does a spacewalk and goes to the satellite but forgets to hold onto something solid, and while using the drill, he spins violently and his tether snaps, causing him to fly into unknown space. Naird says goodbye to the chimpanzee. Then they try to contact the dog but find out that the chimpanzee had eaten the dog. We now see that the Chinese satellite that had knocked out Epsilon earlier picks up Marcus the chimpanzee. Dr. Mallory tells Naird that the satellite cannot be saved since its panels have gone too far away. Naird comes home after a long and stressful day and helps his daughter with trigonometry. Mallory is furious at Naird for the budget cut. When he tries to meet Naird, Mallory is stopped by Naird's bodyguard for not having his ID card. Aaron got suspended for giving the teacher the finger, so Naird asks Captain Ollie to keep an eye on his daughter. Naird himself flies the helicopter to go to the congressional hearing. Aaron and Ollie hang out in the Space Force base. Naird discusses this with other generals about the hearing. We see General Kick try to undermine General Naird again. Aaron gets teased by some jerks, but Captain Ollie defends her and orders them to run 5 miles. General Kick tries to turn Dr. Mallory against General Naird but fails. Aaron and Ollie have a funny encounter with Naird's bodyguard near the ice cream shop named Neil Armstrong. Ollie finds out about Aaron's boyfriend Yuri, who is older than her and could also be a Russian spy. Naird and Mallory appear before Congress for their budget hearing. General Naird stumbles on the questions asked by the Congress members. He asks Dr. Mallory for help, but Mallory is hesitant to help him. Meanwhile, we see the guys Ollie sent for running get sunburned after their run. Naird does his best to save the Space Force's budget, and after listening to him, Dr. Mallory jumps in and answers the questions, and saves the Space Force's budget.